Winter Roses, Autumn by Fairytalelovr. Chapter 1. Isla stared at the sunset over the balcony. It was an incredible sight she still thought amazing, after all this time living here. And yet, today, she couldn't appreciate it. "You look like a woman who has something on her mind," Ella said softly, so her voice would carry, and wake the three little angels sleeping in the nursery. "I have a bad feeling," was all Isla replied, rubbing a hand over her heart. Mother senses," Ella whispered, equally anxious. "Yes, I understand." "I'm sure it's nothing. She trailed off. Ella remained quiet. The worst thing right now would be empty reassurances. They watched in silence for a few more moments. Then the sea swallowed the sun and bathed the land in darkness. And suddenly the quietness of the night was broken by Nymeria, Lady, and Shaggy Dog, howling loudly and long. The difference in tune was obvious from just a few hours ago. Rather than a welcoming feeling, it transpired a dark cloud of grief. "I'm going to the Godswood," Isla announced, clutching the winter diamond pendant around her neck. "No need to wait for me for supper." And she left in a rush. Ella swallowed dry. Isla had a bad feeling, the kind only a mother could have. "No, I will not think like this. My brother is there, Ned is there, and John takes after his mother and father's when he's got a blade in his hands." A new brightness drew her eye from the west. Where the sun had just set, to the east, the peak of the volcano. More lava was oozing from the top, tinting the night sky with a fiery light. The Dornish lady took a deep breath. The volcano had erupted when Daenerys had been in a delicate situation. But Dany lived, she reminded herself. Then she decided to focus on that. She called for the maids to watch over the boys, who were soon to wake up, as she left in search of Maester Walken. She needed to ensure that no other cloud of ash would cover the island. The last thing she needed was to be cut off from the world when they had more than ever needed to receive ravens. Then she went to her own chambers, where Dawn was sleeping. She could make a journey in half the time a regular raven, and Ella just couldn't sit back and wait for over a week for a raven there and back. Ned was in the middle of explaining his plan when the silver direwolf stood suddenly from his side and rushed to the door, scratching it to get out. The man frowned, a bad feeling taking over, and stood quickly, following the wolf down the corridor. A blur of white passed them by so fast it was nearly invisible, and Ned felt his heart skip a beat, speeding up the rest of the way to the Lord Commander's solar. He could hear Ghost growling inside, and more than one man yelling in pain. The silver direwolf rushed forward, now that Ned knew where to come, and joined the fight inside. Ned froze in the doorway, his blood freezing in his veins, and he faltered, "No! No, 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 no!" He ran into the room, kneeling next to John, pulling him into his arms. "No! Not my son! John!" Benjen froze upon the door as well, trying to comprehend the scene in front of him. He saw the blood puddled on the floor, saw the gash on John's chest, but his brain refused to accept it. It wasn't true. It simply could not be. I will get the Maester Aemon," he mumbled, though Ned was too incoherent to understand. Ghost sat back on his haunches, howling in pure grief, his muzzle red with blood. Ned could only cry, doubling over John's chest, his eyes hazed with tears, sobbing. Adam was fuming outside the Great Hall. He had half a mind to take Greyjoy to pay for treasonous words he spoke, but he couldn't. The foolish boy was merely parroting the lie they had allowed the realm to believe, in order to protect Jon and Daenerys.
"Sir Adam!"
Wex exclaimed, stopping in his tracks.
"I thought you were with the Lord."
"No, he went to their rooms with the lady," the knight replied. "I saw her come down with Horus, but I thought he stayed in."
"I thought so too, but I just went there and the room is empty. Jory said Lord Stark is alone with Lord Benjen and Lord Robb went to speak with Lady Marjorie."
Adam stood up straighter.
"Where is Lord Tarley?"
"My guess is the library,"
the guard replied with a shrug.
"Send a couple of men to their room just in case, and go check the library. Have a man with Lord Tarley at all times as well. I don't like the look of these men here, and we have proof they are ready to raise a mutiny."
Adam said, seeing Ghost in the courtyard.
"I'll see if Ghost can give a quicker direction too."
Ghost suddenly stopped in his play with Greywind, swooshing out of the courtyard.
"Get more men!"
Adam said, rushing after the direwolf as fast as his human legs could carry him. In his mind, he wanted to cuff Jon round the ears. He really needed to accept that he couldn't just walk around without at least a guard with him, especially in another castle. But now that Ned was finally going to tell him the truth, perhaps he would stop being so He stiffened. From the end of the corridor, he could see the Lord Commander's door open and sobbing coming from inside. There was a thunder of clunky footsteps behind him, and he saw Wex, Leeds, and another 5 Starling guards starting to climb the stairs at the bottom of the tower. Unsheathing his borrowed sword, he rushed down the corridor, and his lungs let out all the air in them when he saw the scene inside. His heart broke in a million pieces.
"I failed. Again. I failed again. I failed Rhaegar. I failed Lyanna. Now I failed the sun."
He stood unmoving, incapable of processing anything but pain. Then there was a groan from across the room, and Ghost growled. Adam saw the man lying on the ground, a deep bite on his left leg. Sir Alistair Thorne. He crossed the room to him, seeing as Ghost only raised his hackles. His antipathy for the man aside, the direwolf's reaction was telling enough. The guards arrived then.
"Leeds, get the Lord Commander to his room. Maester Raymond will see him there. And then get these other fuckers to the ice cells. Make sure none of them die before they can be sentenced. I want Thorne in a room out of the way, where I can question him."
Adam bit out, focusing his anger towards something productive. Robb pulled away from Marjorie when Greywind scratched the door from outside. He was about to ignore his companion when he insisted, so Robb sat up and stood from the bed. "What's the matter with him?" Marjorie asked, setting her neckline to rights.
"Don't know,"
Robb replied, also straightening himself.
"I thought he was bothering the cooks in the kitchens."
He opened the door and Greywind moved away from the room.
"Go find some venison, boy,"
Robb said with a chuckle. But the wolf didn't share his levity, whining and motioning to leave down the corridor again. Robb frowned, recognizing he wanted to be followed.
"Stay here, Marjorie. I'll have some guards sent up and I will—"
He was interrupted by Ghost's howling, and a feeling of dread took him by surprise through his connection with Greywind. The albino was howling in grief. There was only one reason Robb could think of for this. Pale, he reached for his cloak. "I'm coming with you," Marjorie said, fastening hers quickly.
"Absolutely not," Robb decreed. "I have no idea what's happening, and you are staying here with guards posted until I know it's safe."
And he left quickly, not leaving room for argument. Marjorie clenched her jaw, then went to the door, finding 3 Tyrell guards. "Do you know the way to the dining hall?" she asked. She had looked for Dany after her first talk with Robb, being told where she was. and had only gone to her rooms for more layers of clothes before joining her when Rob had changed her plans. The guards nodded. "Good, take me there." Marjorie found Danny laughing with Sam on the table. Theon Greyjoy looking sour to the side. "Marge!" Danny greeted with a smile. "Why didn't you tell me you were coming?" Then she frowned. "What is the matter?" "I don't know. I was talking with Rob when Greywind came and called him away. Didn't you hear the howling?" "No." Danny looked around the room. The brothers were talking loudly and someone was playing a song. "There's too much noise in here. What is it?"
A group of Starling guards stormed into the room, making everyone stop and look. "Party is over," Adam exclaimed. "Everyone back to your own rooms, and no one is leaving after. Anyone found wandering will be cut down."
The brothers scrambled to leave the room, and Danny felt her breathing quicken.
"Where is John?"
she asked Adam, noticing his face was even more stony and deadly than when Theon had been mouthing off.
"I am escorting you there, Danny. Come on," was all he said.
"Adam, what happened?" she insisted.
"Danny, I can't. I will take you there. And if you don't have 5 guards breathing down your neck at every moment, so help me God."
Danny felt her heart sink, and quickly followed out of the room and through the narrow, creaking stairs to the Lord Commander's solar.
She screamed in pure agony, her legs failing to hold her weight, and Marjorie held her up. Adam crossed the room and stopped by Ned, delicately putting a hand on his shoulder.
"Come on, let's—" "No!"
the Northerner exclaimed, clinging to his son even more strongly.
"No! I'm not! No!"
Benjen brought Maester Raymond into the room.
"Uncle,"
Danny said weakly.
"Please, there must—"
"Clear the table,"
the Maester ordered with a wavering voice.
"Lay him there."
Rob stood up and pushed everything out of the way, uncaring for the mess. Then Benjen wrestled his brother away and Adam picked John up. Ghost whimpered, nosing his inert hand.
"Darling, I need eyes,"
Maester Raymond said, and Sam scrambled to help.
"So?"
Sam tried to get the doublet open, but the clasps wouldn't cooperate. So Adam took Rhaegar's old Valyrian steel dagger from John's belt and cut it away like melted butter. John's bare chest came into view, and the knight finally let a tear escape from his eyes.
"Adam?"
Danny called weakly.
"What do you see, darling?"
The Maester insisted.
I'm sorry, Danny,"
Sam said, tears filling his eyes as well.
There's nothing. It went straight through his heart."
The Maester faltered as well, but Adam's quick reflexes kicked in, and he held the elderly man up and helped him to a chair.
"No!"
Danny yelled, pushing Marjorie's arms away and crossing to the table, taking John's hand in hers.
"He can't!"
And she finally lost it, dissolving into tears. Gendry was picking up a loaf of bread at the bakery when he heard the howling. Hot Pie shivered, goosebumps erupting with the sound. "Them wolves are loud today," the boy said.
"Yeah,"
Gendry muttered. It was true that it was the second time in so many hours that they were all howling together. Something that was unusual, but even if he knew next to nothing about wolves, there was something different about their howling.
"What do you think it means?"
"Dunno," Hot Pie shrugged. "Haven't you seen Arya?"
"Not since the reading lesson this afternoon. But that was before the first round of howling."
"I tell you what, I think Nymeria is smarter than them other wolves," Hot Pie said, now rolling up some dough.
"Why? You know a lot about wolves?" Gendry asked, amused.
"She doesn't look like a beast, do she?"
"Nah. No, she doesn't."
The smith agreed. Then the very topic of their conversation pushed the door to the bakery open. It was a testament to just how much different than mindless beasts the direwolves were, that no one even flinched. People in the Blessed Island, especially in the castle and the Midnight Village, were more than used to having them around, so no one batted an eye as the she-wolf's presence.
"Hey, girl,"
Gendry greeted, scratching her head.
"what you doing here? Where's your human?"
Nymeria closed her eyes and enjoyed the petting for a moment, but then moved to push Gendry out of the bakery with her snout. He was a few paces from the door when she turned back and pulled Hot Pie by his sleeve.
"I think she wants us to follow her,"
the smith said as they left the building. "Bloody smart wolf! Told you. Think Arya is in trouble?" the baker asked.
Gendry snorted. "Knowing her? Very likely."
Nymeria guided them all the way down to the pier. But then, instead of going to the main path where the boats were moored, she led them to a nearby clot of trees. "Seriously, Nymeria?" Arya asked quietly when she saw them coming. Why are you hiding in the dark with a satchel?" Hot Pie asked. Both Arya and Gendry shushed him. The last thing any of them needed was to get caught.
"You can't be thinking of running away, my lady,"
Gendry said quietly. "I'm not running away, stupid. I'm going to the wall." The smith barely held back an eye roll.
"Well, it's got me for life if I ask why."
"You really are stupid," she huffed. "There was something about that last towel, all right. I just know there was. There is something very, very, very wrong up there. And I hate sitting still." "But you're never managing to get away,"
Hot Pie exclaimed, prompting new shushes. "He's right, though," Gendry continued. "You're going to need to be able to fool those 6 patrolling guards and steal a boat."
"Don't be stupid. They're my brothers. I'm not stealing it. Besides, I'm not going to take it with me. I'm going to dock it at Sunstone. It's called borrowing."
"Yeah, I was getting there." Gendry rolled his eyes. "So, say you managed to fool these 6 guards long enough to get into a boat. You'd have to row pretty fast to turn the first corner down the lake into the river before they see you and raise the alarm. If you manage that, and that's a great big if, there are sentinels posted every 30 yards or so downriver, alternating sides, so that's going to be a real easy trip. Then you'd have to pray that you can get to the dock at Sunstone and fool the guards around there as well. And even if you do manage to do all of that, you're going to have to be bloody lucky to have a ship departing north. You won't be able to buy or bribe your way in, so you're going to have to stow away. And all that, if you weren't counting on enough chance already, you'd have to accomplish before your stepmother notices you're gone and raises the alarm. 'Cause after she does, nothing is departing the harbour until you're found. Stow away or not."
Arya deflated in dismay. I hadn't thought that far. I was going on a step-by-step thing. Figured if I would get the boat. How do you know about the sentries anyway?"
"Watch posts need ironwork when they're being built," Gendry said as if it were obvious. "It was all hands on deck after the attack on Lady Starling, so I helped there instead of making weapons. I'm good with details, so Lord Starling and Sir Adam had me making... what's the word they used? Oh, intricate keys. Hard to copy and mess with."
"I can still make it. It's dark, and if I don't have a light, they won't see me. And I put pillows in my bed, so if Ella peeks in, she'll think I'm asleep."
"It's a 3-hour trip, Arya," Gendry reminded her. "And that's if the current is really helpful and you keep rowing. You can't row alone for that fast or for that long. Your arms are too skinny."
"Well, I'm a girl. I don't spend all my days hammering swords or pulling dough."
"Come on, let's get back to the castle," Gendry said. "I doubt you're the only one who noticed anything wrong with the howling. Besides, do you really want to do this to your stepmother and aunt?"
Nymeria nosed Arya's arm, making her sigh. "You're a little traitor, you know," she said, burrowing her face into the she-wolf's neck. "There's something wrong with one of my brothers," she said quietly. "I can feel it." "If that's true, getting lost in the north is not going to help him," Hot Pie said.
"The castle is the best place to be, Arya," Gendry added. "You're never going to make it to Castle Black before they send a raven.
She nodded, breaking away from Nymeria and following Gendry and Hot Pie back through the village and up to the castle. Thank you, Arya said at the courtyard. I was about to do something very stupid and impulsive. What are friends for? Gendry said. Here, Hot Pie offered her a cinnamon roll, to sweeten your night. Thanks, boys, she said with a smile. Lady Arya, is something the matter? A guard asked. No, nothing at all. With a last smile, she vanished inside the castle. Nymeria licked each of their faces, prompting laughs, before following. Arya blushed as she walked into her chambers. Ella was sitting on her bed, hugging a pillow to her chest. You know, the woman started, for a girl who doesn't like silly nonsense, you certainly have suddenly acquired a great love for Sansa's frilly pillows. They're comfortable? Arya mumbled. Ella sighed. Do you intend to drive me mad with worry? I'm sorry. Did you have a plan, or just an urge to go? Does it make a difference? Arya asked, disconcerted. Yes, actually, it does. I had an urge to go and a half-baked plan, which my friends convinced me was a stupid and reckless plan. Arya confessed. I truly am sorry. There's something wrong, Ella. I know. You are not the only one who noticed it. Do you really think getting lost in the north would help? Did you really think that, if something bad did happen, you disappearing without a trace would help anyone or soothe our worries? I'm sorry, Arya mumbled, blushing and feeling very guilty for the distress she saw in her stepmother's eyes. I wasn't thinking about that. I was being reckless and selfish. Ella exhaled, but reached to hug her. I think it's commendable that you want to protect your family, sweetie. But you can't do it at your own expense. You have no idea of the dangers a 2- and 10-year-old girl would face on the way to Castle Black. I just want you to be safe and aware that your actions have consequences. Arya nodded and hugged her back just as strongly. Sir Barristan flinched and ducked when another cup flew by his head and across the room, smashing itself against a wall. Jaime rolled his eyes, bored.
How do you mean the wall? Robert asked with a slur.
We just received a raven now, Your Grace, Maester Byron said, unflinching, in which Lord Stark stated his safe arrival at Castle Black, where he expected his eldest sons to return soon, so Lord Robb and Lord Starling can report what they have found in the lands beyond the wall, and Lord Stark will negotiate with the Watch for matters of what is due to them in taxes.
Robert belched. Counting coppers, he exclaimed loudly. The ungrateful fucker is once again counting them fucking coppers.
He then stood up, scrambled to his bed, where he fell face first, and started snoring. Sir Barristan, may I return to the door? Jaime asked.
Go, and send for that squire.
Barristan stared. He then noticed that the maester came closer to the bed.
Is there something the matter, maester?
Sir Barristan, I know that the care for his grace falls to the Grand Maester, but I wonder if I may examine the king. Maester Byron said. In your presence, of course. Sir Barristan nodded, curious, and the maester opened the sleeping man's eyes, humming in displeasure, then came closer to check his breath. Sir, Lord Stark trusts you, so I hope I may as well.
My interest is in the safety of the crown, maester.
Who brings the wine for his grace?
His squire,
the knight answered, confused.
A cousin of the... Oh. You suspect him of altering the wine?
Sorry if you can hear something, there's a storm going on. Not him, perhaps, but someone. Without a sample myself, I would say that it smells and looks like a simple enough herb is made into a tea and then mixed to the wine. It would make the king seem drunker more easily, and also exaggerate the effects of the wine. It would also cause greater dependence. Barrister nodded. Robert did seem to start getting drunker and drunker, much more than usual overnight.
Can't something be done about it?
He can't be cut off wine suddenly, or he'll suffer, the maester stated. But if he cut off the altered wine, it should help bring him back to normal.
I am afraid our king has always had the kindness towards wine.
Regardless, this is likely to kill him if it is not stopped, Maester Byron said. Should I inform the Grand Maester? Lord Renly, perhaps?
If you wouldn't mind, Maester, I should like to handle it myself, the knight said, until Lord Stark gets back and takes over.
Maester Byron nodded, bowed his head, and left the room. Barristan stayed a moment longer, contemplating what to do. Pycelle was in Tywin Lannister's pocket, likely to be in on the scheme, or at any rate unlikely to help. Renly was a hothead, who would likely declare war on the Lannisters without thinking of any consequences. With Ned Stark gone to the north, that left one person in King's Landing who could prevent the disaster that Robert Baratheon's untimely death would cause. And Barristan cursed under his breath when he got to that conclusion. Involving Varys into this would be like making a deal with the devil. But it wasn't like he had any other option. The Master of Ships was cunning, though, and had a taste for the game regardless of his northern roots. Perhaps. But then again, Varys was privy to another little secret. He would know why they couldn't let any sort of chaos erupt, more than simply loyalty to their king. What they needed to do was to secure things and butcher others before Robert could die. Barristan hated it. He was a knight, a soldier, not a politician. But in King's Landing, in the Game of Thrones, you either played or the game smothered you. The room seemed unmoving. Dany had stopped sobbing, but tears still bathed her face as she sat next to the table, clutching Jon's hand like a lifeline. Ned had slid against the wall to sit on the floor, and stared unseeing into his bloodied hands. Everyone else was just... Adam brought out his sword when he heard the door opening, though he knew there were 10 guards posted outside, and many others patrolling the wing. Davos raised a hand in surrender, the other holding a basket.
Firewood, he explained. I thought to last through the night.
Adam nodded, sheathing the sword and going back to stand beside Dany. Davos crossed the room to the fireplace and built up the fire, poking it until it roared back to life. He then noticed that the maester was shivering and took off his own cloak.
Maester, I can... You are very kind, sir,
the old man replied,
but I'm afraid it won't help now. This is not the warmth I need. Would you like me to escort you closer to the fire?
Davos insisted.
That would be most kind, sir. Thank you.
Uncountable moments later, there was another knock on the door, and Melisandre walked in. She looked around, frowning when she saw Jon lying on the table.
But this cannot be. I saw him fighting in the Riverlands. I'm sorry, my lady, Davos said, standing up, but he won't be fighting anymore. We should leave the family. I have been to Essos, Adam said suddenly, his throat raw and voice unsteady. I have seen what the Red Priests can do. Can you fix this?
Dany lifted her head, blinking. Fix? But... how? The Lord of Light is very powerful. If one has the powerful conductor as well, there is power in a king's blood, she whispered.
If the maester...
No, not my uncle, Dany said, standing up, but not letting go of her husband's hand. If it is royal blood you need, here, have it. She thrust her other arm forward. The Red Woman smiled softly. Then she came closer to the table. Ned didn't move from his stupor, but Benjen saw the potential danger of the situation.
Royal blood?
He asked, giving Adam a look. The knight was too busy staring at Melisandre. The Lord of Light is capable of many things, the priestess said after a moment.
Can you fix this?
Adam asked again through clenched teeth. You? Danny was shocked. You mean you can bring him back? I can perform the spell and say the words, Alessandra said. The Lord of Light is the one who decides whether Lord Starling is worthy or not. End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed that one. Hi Riley. So yes, I am doing the sequel. I couldn't wait. Oh my god, this is amazing. This story is so good. But I will say this, it's not finished. Okay, this has 52 chapters and it's amazing. They even develop Marcella later down the line. But yeah, I really like this. So I wanted to do it. I couldn't do summer and not do autumn, even if autumn's not done. Anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, comment and subscribe and hit that bell to get notified whenever I upload a new video. Have a good day, night or whatever time zone you're in. Bye my guys, gals and non-binary pals. I'll see you in another video. Take care.